regular Transportation Committee meeting here at City Hall's chambers, and we would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda and to approve the minutes.
So moved.
All right, been properly moved. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. And ALDOT's agreement with the upgrade and providing lighting along the state routes. Director James Fowler, Department of Transportation, City of Birmingham.
Yes, sir. Are you guys able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So again, I'm James Fowler. I serve as the director of the City of Birmingham's Department of Transportation. And there are two items on the agenda today that they seem related, but they are actually separate. They're both related to lighting, but I'll explain both of them. So this is for the first one. And this is actually a standard maintenance agreement with ALDOT that allows us or gives us permission to, within the state's right-of-way for all the state routes through the city, maintain the lighting. And we've always done that. We've always maintained the lighting on state routes. However, what brought up the need to initiate this lighting agreement is, as you guys know, we have a citywide agreement with Alabama Power for them to maintain lighting. And typically when city crews have gone onto the state's right-of-way, we've just done that. And so there's, just because we're an agency, we haven't necessarily always had an agreement. But now that Alabama Power is accessing the state's right-of-way and doing work along these state routes, ALDOT felt that it was appropriate to have in place a blanket maintenance agreement that just states that the city has the right and responsibility to go onto those right-of-ways and maintain the lighting citywide. And of course, Alabama Power will do that on our behalf.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what is this going to cost?
So this maintenance agreement itself does not have a specific cost necessarily. This is the maintenance that will be performed will be a part of the city's citywide lighting agreement with Alabama Power. And that citywide agreement, so for all of the lighting that we maintain citywide, our annual cost is a little over $7 million, or right around $7 million to maintain all the street lights citywide. And this is a subset of those street lights.
Dr. Quinn.
Yeah, so I assume this is only for the overhead lighting and not for signalization or anything, because I mean, I guess it says in section 3 here, it's referring to different forms of lighting, but I mean, we
That's correct. It's just for lighting and not traffic signals.
So the city of Birmingham, our Department of Transportation maintains all the signalization, does all of the installation and all of, okay.
That's right.
And that's not currently part of our agreement with Alabama Power.
So in those situations, we actually have individual maintenance agreements for different intersections just because they were installed at different times. So we have a big collection of different intersection maintenance agreements. So for example, we, within the last year, initiated a new maintenance agreement for the signals that are being modified and upgraded at the new Amazon distribution facility. So to accommodate that development, some of those signals are being modified and upgraded actually by the developer, but we updated the agreements for those intersections. So we have individual agreements for the majority of the intersections, as opposed to a blanket agreement, which is what this is for the lighting.
Okay, so would this supersede those existing agreements? I don't want to get us down in the weeds here, but
that's a great question. So this would be separate from and in addition to any other agreements that we have for intersection traffic signals. So we'll have separate, it'll actually be on the same form because this is like a fillable form. Mm-hmm. But we have additional agreements that are filled out differently that explain our responsibilities as it goes to maintaining traffic signals. And this agreement is just for maintaining the lighting.
okay.
So it's basically on a as-needs basis?
Yes, sir. This would give us the responsibility and authority as needed to go and maintain the lighting. And there are some upgrades that Alabama Power is still making in certain locations around to the system because that was a part of their original agreement. But primarily, yes, sir, it's as needed for maintenance.
So this $7 million, is this a 5-year contract, 2-year, 3-year? What is it?
It's a 5-year agreement that then extends in perpetuity just until either party decides to discontinue it. And rolled into that agreement is primarily the cost of the power that's needed. But in that agreement, we also are paying for them as a part of our power bill for them to maintain the lighting. And it's according to their rates that they use statewide for similar agreements.
Dr. Quinn, you got anything?
Yeah, you know, I guess I would just take this opportunity to encourage you in your conversations with Alabama Power to improve their portal that they have for customer service, because, you know, I think generally, just because of the history of street lighting in the city of Birmingham, residents have the expectation, you know, that they call the city of Birmingham when there's a problem with street lighting. There's you know, that needs to continue to be communicated out, that you know, street lighting is no longer maintained by the city of Birmingham, that, you know, please call Alabama Power whenever you have a problem with a street light. But then, you know, there's also, I think, a gap in the communication from Alabama Power to citizens, you know, as to how to contact them specifically about street lighting. You know, I generally think that people are kind of directed to their just, you know, customer service line. So, and you know, we don't have any visibility on those requests, and, you know, whether or not there's outstanding requests, how many requests they're getting, you know, what's the turnaround time on those. So, you know, we hear about it when our constituents call us about a street light that's out, and generally, you know, I've asked on a number of occasions if there was like some official, you know, portal that we could go to report a street light out, but generally what happens is we have a contact person that we just communicate these things to, and I think that's a less than perfect system. So just want to put that out there, you know.
So who is our go-to guy? A girl, a young lady, a young man, or who?
Yes, sir. So one thing to your point, I will definitely follow up with them on what the portal interface looks like to the public. We still in our department receive a number of requests, and we have a staff member that's pretty much primarily dedicated to trying to resolve issues with the lighting, because there are a lot of things that aren't just maintenance. For example, if someone requests an additional street light, that kind of involves an investigation and some back and forth. And so we do see a lot of the maintenance requests, and it kind of gives us a sense of the pulse on how responsive they're being. But those are only for ones that get reported to us. So you're correct, we don't see ones that get reported directly to APCO and how quickly they report on those. So I will carry that back. For the ones that do get reported to us, to Councilor Hoyt's question, in our office, we have a staff member that does a very good job of following up on these. His name is Larry Jones, and he coordinates directly, I'd say for the most part, with Mr. Terrence Moultrie at Alabama Power, and he has been a very responsive and responsible partner on their end and has worked with us on a number of issues now for several years.
Well, then can we publish his name or something?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
I said, could we publish that his name, that if we got issues, then we contacted that person?
I don't know that we would necessarily want to publish his name and send the public to him, although I'm sure he would welcome that if they did. But I think that we probably do need to set up a system to make sure that the public's clear on if there is just a streetlight out maintenance issue, where do they go? That needs to be clear.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think IMS has the capability of creating an app or something that we can use with respect to that, because lighting is such an issue in Birmingham throughout. So it might behoove us to do so. Yeah, we used to have something that you could take a picture and it give you the address and all that, and you could send it in. I'm not sure if that's even working anymore. Do you know, Dr. O'Quinn?
Well, it's definitely the system that we're moving towards. It's the new 311 system that's being upgraded right now is going to have that capability.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll go online very soon. Chaz, you have an update?
I know this is going through an integration phase. So the last conversation I heard is hopefully by the fourth quarter of this year it'll be done. Which is coming up. So we're looking at like late October, early November.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to make a motion that we recommend this agreement to the full council for approval.
All right. It's been recommended that we move this to the council. Ready for the question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, and so ordered. Okay. All right. And Mr. Fowler, you have an upgrade to I-2059. Is that right?
Yes, sir. So I'm going to hand you guys a good bit of paper here, and we'll talk through exactly what it means.
Yeah, because I'm looking at darkness when I hit right before Arkadelphia Road, going south, going west rather. Some folk want us to believe they were in the NBA or something. for some reason, I'm thinking next week was like the 5th. Why am I thinking like that?
That's a long month, I think.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's just, I don't know, hey, I'm in the moment of accident, so I guess my timing is off.
We got 5 Wednesdays and 5 Thursdays in this month.
Yeah.
That's a long month.
Okay, thank you, sir. Like a fish, don't it? Does this take in the airport as well?
Okay. So I'll go ahead and dive in and apologize. It's a lot of paper, and I'm never sure exactly what gets submitted paper-wise, so glad we have some packets that we can hand out. So what this is, in totality, is an effort to partner with Alabama Power, and ALDOT is contributing to that partnership.
$500,000.
An effort to partner to restore the lighting in proximity of the airport along the interstate. Historically, Alabama Power has not worked on interstate lighting because it's just a different environment and it's a different kind of work that has to be done. So this is a pilot project from them, and it's at the request of a few different entities, but one of those in particular is ALDOT as well. So this is a pilot project where they are agreeing to rebuild that system and then maintain it going forward henceforth. And so there are 3 agreements included in this packet. And so the first agreement is the cost that we would pay to Alabama Power for them to upgrade and rebuild the system. And the reason it needs to be rebuilt is because I believe it was around 6, maybe 7 years ago, the city actually rebuilt the system and upgraded it, and then the system was vandalized, and so the copper was stolen and the lights were turned off and a lot of the system was destroyed. And so there would be an initial agreement for them to rebuild the system, and this would be at a little bit of a discounted rate to us, and so as a part of the pilot project. That's the first agreement, is the cost to rebuild it. The second agreement is an ongoing maintenance contract that's modeled after our larger citywide agreement for streetlights, and that's at an ongoing rate to maintain that lighting. So they would supply power and then maintain it. If a light goes out, they would maintain it. It would not cover something more substantial like total vandalism to the system, but just kind of individual repairs that it would recover that, in addition to the power. And then the third agreement is an agreement with ALDOT, where they are agreeing to pay the city $500,000, and that is intended to be used for this project to offset our costs. So there's some discount being provided by Alabama Power, and so we have a $2 million total agreement with Alabama Power for them to rebuild it, and then ALDOT is paying us $500,000 to contribute towards that, so it really costs us about $1.5 million, and we would expect, if we were to build it ourselves, to cost over $2 million for us to hire a contractor to build that section of lighting ourselves. And then there would be an ongoing power and maintenance charge. That is that second agreement. That's the high level explanation.
So this is only concerning that area.
That is the first spot, and the intent is if Alabama Power is good with this kind of work, if it's positive for them, then the intent would be to use this model to not just go citywide, but also other areas of the state as well.
Because I'm concerned the lights are out right there before you get to Birmingham Southern. They are out, well, right at Birmingham, so they own, but right before you get there, as you come in under the overpass of 65, then lights are out, and they've been out. You know, these are new lights. So are we doing anything to prevent this savaging that they're doing?
It's a great question. So while we can't prevent what has happened in the past, we can use this as an opportunity to build the system differently and try to identify ways that would reduce the likelihood that someone goes and sabotages the system. While I won't necessarily list everything that we're doing, a few things that I think are important to note. One, we are moving away from using copper wiring, and in this system we would use aluminum wiring, which has a much lower reclaim value. So there's a whole lot less incentive for someone to go and steal any wiring. Additionally, we are taking several steps to make the system much more difficult to access and much more problematic for someone to try and remove any materials. So.
Dr. Quinn?
No, that addresses, you know, my question is that, you know, let's build it back better. So.
You have to be careful with that.
Yep. Well, I think that's a Biden slogan now, so anyway, yeah, hopefully this works out, but you know, that would be the main concern is if Alabama Power, you know, is willing to do this, but they're not gonna take on responsibility for vandalism, you know, then let's make sure that the system is built in such a way that minimizes the opportunity for vandalism. And, you know, I'd say hopefully they're prepared to, you know, consider other parts of the city, and not just other parts of the city, but other parts of the metro area, because this is not just a city of Birmingham problem. There's lights out specifically in Trussville along the interstate that I know, same issue. But anyway, yeah, and especially going west on 2059 through most of western Birmingham, there's the interstate lighting's not functional there either. So for largely the same reason, I think. So what is going to be their, you know, project assessment period? You know, how are they going to evaluate success? And
I would say that the biggest indicator for them is the installation period. So one of the complexities of the interstate work is obviously you have to do a lot more careful and intentional traffic management. And so they've kind of held that outside of their wheelhouse for a long time. And so that's the biggest challenge. And so they have a plan for that. And so I would say the biggest indicator for them is if they are able to successfully build the system and they feel like it's a profitable endeavor for them in the end. So long term, I don't think they're planning to go, you know, just statewide right away, but incrementally, if this works, then continue to add sections over time.
Sure. Is that it, Doctor?
yeah, I mean, you know, they're calling us a pilot project, so I would just say, I would hope that they would come back at specific intervals after the project to discuss, outcomes and evaluate, how to proceed with other parts of the city. I mean, this is a problem that has preceded, you and me, and this administration, and it's been a long-standing issue. Kudos to you for, helping identify a solution that will hopefully work out. So, I'm hopeful, but also want to be planning for the next project as well.
Well, Dr. Quinn, why don't you just make it a part of your motion that there's an update and a follow-up with respect to
Sure.
This pilot program?
Yes, sir. So I will make a motion that we recommend this agreement to the full council for approval under the condition that Director Fowler will come back to the committee at 6-month intervals to provide updates on progress and outcomes.
All right.
Sir.
It's been moved that we add to this agreement that we would have an update from Department of Transportation as we unfold this new initiative, this pilot program. Ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, and so order. Okay.
Thank you.
Next. In the old business, in the new business, then no business, then we adjourn.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Mr. Papa moves, say all in favor, say aye.
Aye.